you are centered. You are centered now. When you are poised, when you maintain this mental equilibrium, you are centered. And when you are centered, you are automatically God-centered. You're automatically God-centered, or centered in your true beingness, centered in your true existence. Therefore, it is necessary for you to be centered in life, while being not ego-centered. Normally, people are ego-centered. So if you are ego-centered and feel that I am the doer, that's a different issue. But here, without having this ego-centered, you remain calm, peacefully and calmly. So when are you centered? That is also very easy to understand. When you are centered, by knowing when you are not centered. When you are disturbed, you know that you are not centered. When you are agitated, you know very well that you are not centered. When you are in exhilaration, you know that you are not centered. When you are depressed or sad, you know that you are not centered. So therefore, when none of these are there, you are naturally centered. So when you are centered, you are automatically God-centered. Because God's center is there within you. God's center is there. That's the whole purpose of living life. The art of living life is to be centered in your God nature. In your God nature. To be centered in your God status and then keep on functioning in the world. Keep on functioning. So therefore, this factor of maintaining the state of mental equipoise is absolutely necessary. You're calm, you're serene in the execution of all your actions and in experiencing all what has to be experienced in life. When you do so, you are now truly and well balanced and maintaining this balance of being centered in your reality, in your true beingness. Then, having said this, there is a fourth factor. Then the fifth factor is that you have to, while going through your operations of living life, one more important thing is necessary for you to maintain. It is the most important factor. And that is to maintain the awareness of your divine nature. Maintain that awareness. Now, why is it that you should maintain the awareness of your divine nature? Because you have forgotten that you are the divine. You have forgotten it. And you have become dead to it so far. And you have become alive to your human nature. And you have become alive to and identified with your ego nature. And you're functioning with that. Therefore, the education that you need is to release and to forget that you are this human individual, but at the same time to be educated and to remember your divine status, which is your God status, and maintain and become alive to it. Become alive to that status. Don't forget it. Otherwise, if you don't remember it, you forget it. So that constant remembrance of your divine nature is said to be awareness. The way to do that is to be aware of it. Now, how, in what way can you be aware of it? Of course, the divine is something which you do not know what it is and how to be aware of it. It is an inconceivable something. But how do you maintain that awareness of it? How do you maintain it? And once again, we come to a very good classic example as to how this awareness could be maintained. With this example, you are going through the daily operations of living life, but while going through the operations, you have to maintain this. How? Just like a mother who has a baby, and the baby is in the cot, but the mother can't remain in the bedroom watching the baby all the time. So she has to go about in the house doing her household chores, and she may have to even go to the garden outside. But at the same time, the periphery of her awareness is always on the little baby. Even if the baby makes a little hiccup, no one else will know, but the mother knows. So that the periphery of her awareness is always on the baby, and she has never forgotten that baby. Never forgotten it, because it is so dear to her. Similarly also, you have to maintain the awareness of your divine nature and then keep on functioning in the world. So by and by, as this divine nature, as you keep on maintaining the awareness of this divine nature, what happens is, this awareness which was in the background, in the foreground, you are consciously functioning and moving about in the world, like the foreground, doing everything. But in the background of your consciousness or your mind, the awareness of it was always there. You never lost it. You maintain that, recollect and have the remembrance. Then as you keep on doing it, it takes hold of this awareness, takes hold of your consciousness, and by saturates your consciousness. It saturates it, by and by. And fills it, saturates it and fills it. And as it saturates and fills it, it takes over your entire consciousness. And when it begins to take over and consume your entire consciousness, you become more and more God conscious. More and more God aware and more God conscious, intensely God conscious. Conscious of your God nature. And when this becomes, when you get more and more absorbed in this, then what happens is, your awareness of the world which was there in front of you now begins to recede into the background. It recedes gently into the background. And as it recedes gently into the background, little by little the world awareness, and then one fine day it will disappear. The awareness of the world will disappear. And instead, your consciousness would be consumed by this God awareness, which has now become totally, the God consciousness has totally pervaded and permeated your mind structure. And you become consumed with this. You become totally absorbed in this state. And then, when this transpires, when this particular situation transpires, then one fine day, that enlightenment can take place. All of a sudden, a flip in the consciousness takes place. The flip in the consciousness takes place. And then what happens is, you get transported to another level of existence in which that non-dual consciousness transpires. That non-dual consciousness transpires as a matter of immediate experience. That consciousness. And the entire universe just vanishes and disappears into the background. So in order to facilitate and bring this about, by and by, in your life, Karma Yoga is a very important spiritual discipline. Is the most important spiritual practice for people living in the world. Living in the world, and it's the primary discipline. If this is missed, everything is missed. So therefore, all these actions have to be done with a great deal of, shall we use the word, love. Lovingly live life, lovingly execute all your actions. And when these actions are so done in this manner, this becomes Karma Yoga, or the yoga of action. This is the mystical truth involved in the performance of action as Karma Yoga. Om Tat Sat.